Known for his quick wet-on-wet masterpieces, captivated viewers with his charm and humor. Behind his iconic persona is a story of quiet sorrow. After his death from lymphoma, his legacy continues to grow. Today, we reveal this beloved artist's untold story and lasting impact. Early life. Robert Norman Ross, known to many as Bob Ross, entered the world on October 29, 1942, in Daytona Beach, Florida, to Jack and Allie Ross. His mother, Allie, worked as a waitress, while his father, Jack, pursued carpentry. Raised in a humble home in Orlando, Florida, Bob exhibited a nurturing spirit from a young age, frequently tending to injured animals such as squirrels, armadillos, snakes, and even wounded alligators that would intimidate even trained handlers. Throughout his television series, his deep affection for animals was prominently featured. Leaving high school in the 9th grade to join his father in their family carpentry business, Bob encountered a setback when he injured his left index finger in a sawing accident while assisting with household projects. Despite this, his injury did not diminish his passion for sharing his beloved painting techniques and adept use of the palette with us for years to come. Career, military, and painting. At just 18 years old, Bob embarked on his military journey with the United States Air Force, unaware of the challenges and transformations that lay ahead. Standing tall at 6 feet 2 inches, his imposing figure and flat feet directed him away from flying or technical roles, landing him instead in a desk job managing medical records. Behind his stoic facade, Bob grappled with internal conflicts throughout his military career. Rising through the ranks to become a revered first sergeant, he earned the nickname "Bust 'em Up Bobby" for his strict discipline and unwavering standards. Yet beneath this tough exterior, Bob struggled with the harshness his role demanded. It wasn't until his time stationed at Alaska's Eielson Air Force Base that Bob's true passion began to bloom. Surrounded by Alaska's majestic landscapes, he discovered solace and inspiration in painting. Introduced to art through a United Service Organization's painting lesson, Bob's interest evolved into a lifelong pursuit of capturing the natural world's beauty on canvas. However, Bob's artistic journey truly ignited in 1975 with a pivotal encounter with the magic of oil painting, a television series hosted by German painter William Alexander. Reflecting on his 17-year military service, Bob vividly recalled the frustration of watching Alexander effortlessly achieve what had previously taken him days to accomplish. In all honesty, Bob revealed in an interview, seeing Alexander on TV was both inspiring and humbling. Witnessing Alexander's mastery of the wet-on-wet technique, Bob's approach to art underwent a revolutionary shift. This method not only enhanced his artistic efficiency, but also aligned perfectly with the demands of television, enabling Bob to swiftly translate his creative vision onto canvas. Despite his military obligations, Bob dedicated himself to refining his painting skills against all odds. He seized every chance to sell his Alaskan landscapes to tourists, quickly realizing that painting offered more financial promise than his military career. To further perfect his craft, he often painted on gold panning tins, conducting live demonstrations in taverns where intrigued onlookers could witness his artistic process up close. After 2 decades of service, Bob retired in 1981 and sought out his mentor, William Alexander, whom he had avidly followed on television. This encounter marked a turning point in Bob's artistic journey, inspiring him to pursue painting with renewed passion and purpose. Connecting with Alexander, Bob immersed himself as his most dedicated student, driven by an unwavering passion for art. However, pursuing painting didn't immediately provide substantial financial stability. Despite offering paid lessons and gaining some recognition, it wasn't enough to ensure a steady livelihood. A telltale sign of his financial struggles was Bob's distinctive afro hairstyle, a cost-saving measure in lieu of regular haircuts. Initially an inconvenience, the afro ironically became Bob's trademark, despite his initial dislike, ultimately blending into his artistic persona. His laid-back, hippie-inspired demeanor, often clad in denim shirts and trousers, coupled with his soothing, almost intimate speaking style, endeared him to audiences. Viewers were drawn to Bob's calming presence and his ability to effortlessly convey the joy of painting happy little trees and clouds. Transitioning from being Alexander's traveling instructor, Bob earned his own credentials. In his early painting years, financial success remained elusive. However, his breakthrough came with The Joy of Painting, his PBS series that debuted in 1983 and ran for 11 successful years, exceeding his wildest expectations. Bob's personal life and relationship with the Kowalskis, Bob Ross and Annette Kowalski, first crossed paths during a painting class, where Annette sought solace after the tragic loss of her son. Bob's distinctive painting style captivated her, offering a much-needed distraction during a difficult period. Annette, married to Walt Kowalski, a former CIA operative with diverse business interests, recognized the potential in Bob's talent. In 1983, The Joy of Painting debuted on PBS stations nationwide, marking the beginning of its influential 11-year run. However, it was in 1984 that the show truly gained momentum. This pivotal year saw the establishment of Bob Ross, Inc., with Bob and Jane Ross partnering equally with Annette and Walt Kowalski. Broadcasting on 277 stations daily, the show reached over 80 million viewers, becoming the perfect platform for Bob to share the beauty of art with a global audience. However, William Alexander, Bob's former mentor, felt deeply betrayed when he realized that Bob had adopted and popularized the wet-on-wet technique without crediting him. To William, it was a personal affront and a sense of theft, as he believed he was being pushed out of the spotlight he felt he deserved. He claimed ownership over the technique, unaware that it had historical roots dating back to Caravaggio, long before either of them. William's focus remained fixed on the technique itself, failing to recognize that Bob's success stemmed not just from his painting style, but from his magnetic personality. Bob's soothing voice, charismatic presence, and ability to create a calming atmosphere during his painting sessions were what truly endeared him to audiences. His efficiency in completing paintings within the show's time frame also set him apart, contrasting with William's struggle due to his accent affecting his communication. Audiences found joy in Bob's inclusive and welcoming approach to painting, where everyone felt encouraged to participate and express themselves freely. While Bob's painting technique was accessible to aspiring artists, his genuine passion and connection with his audience were irreplaceable. His unwavering dedication to both his art and his viewers was evident in every episode, making him a beloved figure in the world of painting and beyond. On a memorable episode, a devoted admirer approached Bob, revealing his struggle with color blindness that limited his ability to see anything but shades of gray. Touched by empathy, Bob made a heartfelt decision to paint exclusively in grayscale for that episode, earning admiration for his genuine compassion and deep connection with his audience. This act highlighted Bob's evolving dedication to painting beyond mere financial incentives. He found true joy in sharing the transformative power of art with others. During his engaging half-hour broadcasts, Bob not only painted but also entertained viewers with his witty commentary, occasionally featuring his pet squirrel, Peapod, as a special guest, a personal touch that endeared him to many. Despite the tremendous popularity of The Joy of Painting, which aired 403 episodes over its 11-year run on PBS, Bob never sought payment for his appearances. Instead, his focus remained on expanding the show's influence and promoting their business endeavors. Under the Bob Ross brand, the company marketed art supplies, educational resources, and workshops led by certified instructors in his celebrated wet-on-wet technique. By 1991, what started as a modest venture had blossomed into a thriving $15 million annual enterprise. While Bob's primary motivation was sharing his passion and expertise, the Kowalskis were driven by the pursuit of profit, embracing the notion that financial success equated to happiness. Yet, controversy arose with rumors of a romantic entanglement between Bob and Annette, vehemently denied by the Kowalskis. Nevertheless, years later, Bob's son Steve revived speculation, suggesting there may have been truth to the rumors, adding a complex layer to Bob's enduring legacy. Following the passing of Bob's wife Jane in 1992, tensions began to brew in their previously harmonious professional relationship. When they initially formed the company, they agreed through a contract that in the event of a partner's death, their shares would be equally distributed among the surviving members. Jane's death and the subsequent redistribution of her shares left Bob with a minority vote in a corporation that heavily relied on his fame and public persona. As John D. Rockefeller once famously remarked, "A friendship founded on business is better than a business founded on friendship," a sentiment that resonated in Bob's situation following Jane's passing. The sons of Bob Ross. Details about his first child, born during his teenage years, remain scarce, a private chapter in his early life. His second child, Robert Stephen Ross, affectionately called Steve Ross, was born during his marriage to Vivian Ridge, which ended in 1977 due largely to Bob's infidelity. Shortly after this divorce, Bob found companionship in Jane, his second wife. Their relationship was a source of mutual support and closeness until Jane's passing in 1992, although they did not have children together. Bob's third marriage to Linda Brown was a private period in his life, shielded from public view. Across the 11 seasons of his beloved television series, Bob welcomed a variety of guests, both human and otherwise, yet none made a deeper impression than his son Steve. Steve frequently joined his father during painting sessions, showcasing his own artistic flair. While Bob offered commentary, he subtly hinted at Steve's potential aspirations. As retirement loomed, Bob prepared Steve to potentially take over the show, despite Steve's evident artistic talents and lack of enthusiasm to continue his father's legacy. Bob believed in Steve's abilities to sustain the show if necessary, but Steve had different ambitions. Their relationship strained as Steve wrestled with the weight of his father's expectations. Following a heated argument, they ceased communication for a period. It wasn't until Bob received a lymphoma diagnosis shortly after his wife's passing that they reconciled. Steve often looked back with profound regret on his decision not to carry forward his father's legacy after Bob's passing. Despite grappling with the physical and emotional toll of his illness, Bob remained dedicated to his passion, creating painting episodes that brought joy to countless viewers. Even as his health declined to the point where rising from bed became a daily struggle, Bob persisted in producing episodes. He chose to keep his diagnosis confidential from his crew, despite understanding the gravity of his condition. Bob maintained his cheerful demeanor, cracking jokes and sharing stories while tirelessly painting. On certain days, he managed to film 3 or 4 episodes, all while confronting the reality of his impending death. Bob Ross found solace in his art, using it as a sanctuary from thoughts of his own mortality. He longed to create more episodes to continue bringing joy to his audience. Yet, after his passing, he felt abandoned by those he once considered friends. Their focus swiftly shifted to resolving business matters tied to his brand, rather than honoring his memory as a person. To the company, the Bob Ross brand became more valuable than the man himself. Their primary concern lay in safeguarding their financial interests following Bob's sudden death. As time slipped away, the Kowalskis grew increasingly anxious to solidify their position, leaving Bob with few avenues to address what had become his worst nightmare. After producing 403 episodes spanning 13 seasons from January 11th, 1983, until its conclusion in 1994, Bob unexpectedly bid farewell to his series with remarks that hinted at a goodbye no one had anticipated. In 1995, he fulfilled a lifelong aspiration by appearing on the popular talk show Elmer and Friends. This appearance strained his already deteriorating relationship with the Kowalskis, now prominent figures within the company that owned his brand. During his appearance on Elmer and Friends, Bob, his hair thinning, chose to wear a wig. The Kowalskis feared news of his health condition leaking to his fans, potentially impacting their business. Despite their efforts to control his public appearances for financial gain, Bob remained steadfast in making a positive impact and achieving his dream of hosting a television program. Throughout Bob's illness, Annette Kowalski visited the Ross family, but tensions ran high. She approached Steve, asserting that Bob had signed a document permitting the use of his likeness and name for a memorial. Upset by the Kowalskis' abrupt change in behavior towards his father, Steve refused to present the document to his ailing father. Even after Bob's passing, with no formal agreement in place, the Kowalski family persisted in their efforts to control all of Bob's artistic assets. Bob Ross's legacy endured beyond his death, But behind the scenes, his presence meant little more than securing a single signature. The Kowalskis valued his image and fame far more than the man himself. Their actions became increasingly intrusive, persistently calling Bob's home even as he sought peace in his final days. Reflecting on his father's typically calm demeanor, Steve recalled how each call visibly unsettled him, his resolute refusals echoing through the house. Despite Bob's attempts to shield his cherished values from the Kowalskis' demands, the aftermath of his death unfolded in ways he could never have anticipated. Death and legal disputes. On July 4th, 1995, Bob Ross passed away at the age of 52 due to complications from lymphoma, exacerbated by years of smoking. His final resting place was at Woodlawn Memorial Park in Gotha, Florida, a serene location known for its tranquility. Only his closest family and friends were present at his modest funeral, reflecting Bob's private nature, even in illness. Yet, conspicuously absent from the somber ceremony were representatives of the Kowalski family, who viewed Bob's death not just as a personal loss, but as a strategic business opportunity. To them, Bob was more than an artist. He represented a valuable brand associated with Bob Ross, Inc. In the wake of his passing, Annette and Walt Kowalski immediately sought legal control over the rights to Bob's name and likeness, despite Bob's prior efforts to keep them at arm's length. In his will, Bob had intentionally excluded the Kowalskis, opting instead to leave his estate, including the rights to his name and likeness, to his son Steve and half-brother Jimmy Cox. Undeterred by these provisions, the Kowalskis pursued aggressive legal strategies to gain control over Bob's legacy. They contested Bob's will in court, aiming to secure ownership of everything associated with Bob Ross, Inc., including his artistic creations, intellectual property, and the beloved television series, The Joy of Painting, which had captivated audiences nationwide. In the aftermath of Bob's passing, tensions escalated further as the Kowalskis initiated legal proceedings against Steve's family members, asserting their rights to paintings, brushes, and other assets tied to Bob's illustrious career. The legal battles were intense and protracted, with potential damages reaching $500,000. Even in Bob's absence, the Kowalskis remained steadfast in their quest to control his legacy and assets, relentlessly pursuing legal avenues to secure ownership of his name and likeness. Bob Ross had long been the beloved face of televised painting instruction, maintaining his presence despite declining health in 1995, which required green screen appearances for a children's show just before his passing. Despite these challenges, the Kowalskis were undeterred in their determination to influence Bob's legacy. Despite their efforts, Steve Ross, determined to honor his father's memory, faced the formidable task of defending his rights. Steve's grief over losing his father was compounded by regret for not spending more time with him. Fearing the Kowalskis' litigious nature, Steve sought legal advice and actively countered their legal maneuvers to safeguard his rights. He diligently sought legal grounds to defend his use of his father's name and eventually succeeded. Yet Steve encountered an unexpected obstacle. Jimmy Cox, acting as guardian due to Steve's legal status, had signed crucial documents granting Bob Ross, Inc. substantial control, including possession of audio recordings capturing Bob's discussions with the Kowalskis. Nevertheless, Steve persisted and ultimately triumphed in a lawsuit that allowed him to continue teaching his father's beloved painting techniques. Despite the company's efforts, Bob's reputation remained largely unscathed, evidenced by continued viewership. His programs were even rebroadcast by the BBC during the pandemic. Bob's enduring legacy remains steadfast, a testament to the unwavering devotion of his fans. Legacy. Bob Ross remains a timeless icon in American artistry, even long after his passing. The advent of digital media has catapulted his beloved television show to new heights, captivating both a fresh audience and steadfast fans. His official Twitter account boasts over 2 million followers, while his classic TV episodes continue to garner widespread popularity on platforms like YouTube. In 2021, Netflix premiered Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal and Greed, a documentary that delves into his life and the legal battles that unfolded with the Kowalski family posthumously. Meanwhile, the 2023 film Paint, though not a biopic, featured Owen Wilson portraying a painter reminiscent of Bob, showcasing similar style, voice, and mannerisms. Despite producing an extraordinary number of original paintings, approximately 30,000, Bob's artworks are coveted items, often snapped up swiftly by collectors. Notably, Bob was adamant about his paintings not being sold for profit during his lifetime. Instead, he generously donated many of his original oil paintings to charitable causes and public broadcasting stations. The Bob Ross Workshop in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, now holds a notable collection of his works, offering a premier destination for enthusiasts to appreciate his artistic legacy. Occasionally, rare pieces by Bob enter the market and command prices exceeding $10,000 due to their scarcity and enduring appeal. For instance, A Walk in the Woods, a painting not owned by Bob Ross Inc., originally sold for a mere $100 to a volunteer at a local station who cherished it for nearly 4 decades. Years later, that very painting has achieved a staggering appraisal, now commanding an impressive asking price of $9.85 million, an extraordinary increase in value over time. Art connoisseurs categorize Bob Ross's works as a unique fusion of fine art and cherished memorabilia from entertainment history. Despite the emergence of numerous talented artists since his era, none have quite captured the distinctive charm and universal admiration that Bob Ross and his art continue to evoke. The remaining privately held paintings by Bob Ross were originally sold during his show or created prior to it, with none currently owned by Bob Ross Inc. His legacy extends far beyond the art world, inspiring countless individuals with his timeless wisdom. Quotes like, "We don't make mistakes, just happy accidents, and beauty is everywhere. You only have to look to see it," resonate deeply with his followers, offering a glimpse into his life philosophy. Bob Ross remains an enduring symbol of creativity and positivity, cherished not only by artists but by people from all walks of life. What are your thoughts on the remarkable life of this iconic figure?